Okay, video response, take 3, in response to Hans Rosling's magic washing machine, and Cheryl Wedunn's The Greatest Injustice of Our Century. So to start off, both of them seem to be focused towards women and women inequality. Hans Rosling presents a more optimistic vision and a causal argument for advanced nations. Whereas Cheryl Wedunn talks about the injustices within the system, solutions to that, and critiques of the solution. Both of them, I feel, have a similar solution, and that is globalization. Not just globalization flat, but kind of a calculated globalization. Starting off with Hans Rosling, because that's the shortest. Hans Rosling talks about the magic washing machine, which is saying that his family, his mom and his grandma, they had saved for a very long time in order to buy a washing machine, which before then they had to heat by fire, and it would take hours and hours and hours to do for 7 children. However, with the magic washing machine, she could do the laundry within a couple hours, maybe 3 or 4, and then she would use that extra time to go and pursue her own interests. So the effect of globalization here is that when a country makes certain investments into their citizenship, into their population, then they will receive the dividends. He's talked specifically about Scandinavia, saying that a certain amounts were above $80 a day, the airline. A certain amount in the world were below that in the washing machine line. A certain amount were below that in the light bulb line, and fairly large, about 2 billion, were below the poverty line in the fire. That's how they had to do their laundry. So he talked about when a state brings an electricity into there, when they advance their infrastructure and make it possible for women to do so, to have these magic washing machines, and make it possible for them to spend less time doing this, then they can spend their time in teaching their children, advancing themselves, learning English, learning other languages, and that's how you see advanced industrialized nations take off, is women have the opportunity to invest themselves and utilize their resources. So you've seen this with quite a few different countries. You see it with most of Western Europe, France, Great Britain, Spain, kind of Spain. You see that with the United States and Canada. You see that with Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. You see that with all these different countries, that as long as you are putting forth infrastructure into your country, then it will return in dividends. So, in addition to this, from Cheryl Wedunn's argument saying that the greatest injustices of our century is gender equality. So, from this argument, she cites several examples of impoverished women who have, either by foreign aid and by their own choices, mostly a combination of the two, they have been able to pull themselves out of a vicious cycle and into a positive cycle. These things that happen, specifically citing some examples, she talked about this girl in China who her parents were going to pull her out because the school fees had become too much, and foreign donations came in, which made it possible for her to go to school, and she was able to receive an education, a higher education, get a job, and reinvest into the system. Now, she would not have been able to do this without her own choices, without her own drive to do so. If she had been content to just, once her parents said no, just stay in the rice fields or in her education because she had no drive, this wouldn't be an inspirational story. It would just be another failed investment. However, she had the drive, she went and did so. So you see the success. Investment equals success. Positive investment with positive choices, calculation, success. Secondly, she talked about the girl in Ethiopia who was cast out by her village, crawled to a foreign missionary. She was made medically better and was taken in as a nurse. However, she had to go for it. She had to make the decisions to go there. She had to have the drive, the choices. She had to invest in herself and have the missionaries in the hospital investing in her so that she could get back. Once again, calculated investment, return. And then probably my favorite example that she brought up was the Pakistani woman, Saima, or whatever her name was. She, on the other hand, bad situation with her husband. Husband was mostly unemployed. However, she got a micro loan from an investment company, about $65, which she used to create an embroidery, built her business, and from there it took off, and she and her husband now have solid employment and wealth flowing into them. However, we see that it was an investment by the microloan company, saw the value and the potential. Saiga made it work. So you see, calculated investment, great dividends. Calculated investment, great dividends. When we invest in other nations, when we invest in gender inequality, it has to be calculated. We can't just throw money because that won't work. You'll see failed projects like Rosling Wedunn talked about in Zimbabwe, a failed irrigation project, a failed chicken coop. None of these work if you just throw money. However, when you're investing in people, calculated investments, you'll see returns. This is just textbook globalization, textbook industrialization. So that calculated investments will equal generous dividends. And when you invest in half the world's resources right now, which are being largely invested in, i.e. women, then you'll see amazing dividends in some of these poorer countries, amazing dividends in our own countries, and you'll just see amazing returns. Thank you.